wives, not, I don't use that word, in a relationship with, in terms of reproduced with, building a family with, you aren't pro-black. You might be, you might be slightly...
Let him speak. Like, we understand that those people have different opinions. I think we need to respect everyone else.
Yeah. I said it was going to be contentious. Coming from our history and understanding what we've been speaking about today in terms of that healing process, in terms of being comfortable with people that are the same as ourselves and similar to ourselves, if you want to cultivate black love and you want to better yourself, the only person that's right for that is another black woman. And vice versa is another black man. Point blank and period. I'm not saying that person isn't intelligent. I'm not saying their love isn't genuine and isn't real. It definitely is. Believe me, I've got a lot of friends that are in interracial relationships. But if you're pro-black and you're about the furtherance and the betterance of your people, you get with a black woman or a black man.
I feel compelled to respond.
It's a man next. It's a man next.
I just don't think the world is that clearly delineated and that black and white.
Like, it isn't, but it should be, and this is a process.
But so I really. So some of the kind of, I guess, like most revolutionary black thinkers have had white partners, which is interesting. But I actually think, like, if a black person and a white person like end up together, and it's kind of like in spite of the race, it just like I get that. If it's somebody that consistently, categorically only dates white people, like, that is completely different to somebody who happens to be in a relationship with a white person. Like, that's completely different.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Can I say something? Can I really just say something? I just want to just say one piece. I'm really interested in, just for all of us, how we are talking about black love, yet we are dedicating so much time to talk about white people.
I think your opinion is slightly right of what I believe, but I do see where you're coming from. And I think there does need to be, like, I get where you're coming from is what I'm saying. I think there does need to be some accountability around the so-called conscious community, around their love choices when it comes to white people. Now listen, lay black people who are dating white people, that does not bother me. Do you know what I mean? But I want to talk, for example, about the history of black academics in this country who like to date white women. I don't understand that. So when you talk about Frantz Fanon, for example, that's not just interesting to me, it's problematic. And I feel like if you're devoting your life to blackness, but you can't have black love in your house, I'm confused. I'm really confused about it.
It's access.
That's my experience. But I think when I say accountability, I just mean a conversation needs to happen, and the people who are conscious and in relationships with white people need to be a part of this conversation and not defend yourself, but at least express your experience. Because I'm confused.
Who's in a relation? Who's blackness in a relationship with a white person?
I just want to move the conversation on and talk about true sense. Because I think that concept of if you don't want to reproduce blackness, does that mean that every queer black person is not black?
Wait, guys, wait.
Love is not necessarily only the journey through reproduction.
That wasn't the question. You're taking out. The question was regard white man and black woman. So
but you were talking specifically, your argument, you were rooting in the fact of reproduction. So I'm looking at other situations. I know we can, but we might also decide not to. And that's it.
No,
so I'm just saying that.
But if we're talking about, sorry, continue.
I'm just talking about another model of love, which I want to have children. That's not the point. But I'm just saying that which may not have reproduction as its end goal.
No, it's definitely,
It is that valid. Therefore, but Is that not pro-black if you're not necessarily thinking of reproducing?
Definitely pro-black. I didn't say
So-
that. Because you're in a relationship still with another black person.
You're showing it.
Heterosexual or homosexual, I think there's no...
To get into a relationship as a black queer person with another black queer person. Half my life I've been dating white folk because of the pure rejection from my community, for my queerness, my androgyny.
So then what is the next step there?
The next
Is
step
it to
is
give
now
up or
I'm
not?
no,
Or
I'm
is
not
it
giving
give
up.
up?
The next step is I no longer hear your voice. I can't hear it. It doesn't make me the person I am. I look in the mirror and now I love what I see. When I love what I see, I attract the queer woke folk out there. But for a very long time, the reason why I didn't date black men, black women, whatever, was because of the trauma that I had, which was from my community.
Then at the same time that becomes a trauma which, as I'm guessing you have to process. And my problem is this: there's a lot of black men that I've grown up with. There's a lot of black men that I've grown up with that I, in a sense, kind of mentor now in bringing them from where they are, which is very, I'll go with whatever race I want to be with, and it's predominantly white women. It just is, I live in a predominantly white area, so this is something which is, there's a propensity for this in the area that I live in. No, hold on. No, I was just finishing off on her question.
Okay, so
And as they begin to learn the science of in a heterosexual context, the black woman, which I've had to do myself, they begin to value the person that they're dealing with so much more. But as they're suffering from what they're going through, and it's a sickness. It is a sickness of not being able to love your own. Loving everybody else, whatever, that's cool. If you want to do that, cool. But if you cannot love your own, and furthermore, if you've given up on your own, then I've got no sympathy for that. Black love is a part of that healing process. This is what we're trying to speak about.
Are we moving to what? Are you trying to
Okay, look, basically, as I'm hearing you speak, I'm quite, it's quite frustrating listening to you speak, I'm sorry. Yes, as you gave a disclaimer, fair play, you gave a disclaimer, you did. But, what are you saying? I'm curious, what is it that you want us to move towards? When you are talking about black love, so you've already said just now, it's not about, it's not just about sort of straight love. You're like, okay, cool, as a black person, as a woke black person, we should be, is this what you're saying? We should be moving towards...
Principal agenda, or sorry, your primary agenda.
Your primary agenda is to move towards, so basically, if you're a black woke person, to be with another black woke person. Is that what you are saying?
That's what you're saying.
I'm saying.
What are you saying?
That's not what you're saying. That's not what I'm saying.
The question that was asked, or the question that was posed, was the assertion. And we'll go to the next question straight after that. All I'm saying is the assertion that was made from the lady at the back was that if she knows a conscious person, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's in a relationship with a white person. My rebuttal to that, based on my disposition, not all of our dispositions, but mine, which is pro-black, which is nation building, which is being with no other than a black woman, and if you're homosexual, being with someone similar to yourself, of your ethnicity and your heritage. That's my disposition. I don't believe that we should be with anyone if you're conscious. There are a lot of people that are unconscious, and so they're still stuck in that, as I call it, that psychopathology, which says they can be with anyone and everyone. When I speak to certain people and I say to them, let me just conclude it. And I'll say to them, look, we need to nation build, we need to move forward. They don't understand the principle of nation building. As this lady has just said to us here, there's a likelihood that we won't see ourselves in this country in the future. So the center of what we're doing as a black people must be not only just to reproduce, but to love ourselves. That's
I'm just gonna say one quick thing. It's really true. It's really
Sorry.
Please.
Hold on a second.
We've got 5 minutes left.
Hold on a second. Hi, everybody. Please.
Guys, please.
Can I just say something? Can I just say, no section of the black community holds the definition for other sections of the black community. No one section. And what I mean by that, there are gradients to blackness, and every one of them is valid and acceptable. All right? So this idea that this group says that this is how you should be, this qualifies you to be black, nonsense. Right? So when I say this, the idea that somebody could be, you don't know nobody's story. I've got people in my family, you don't know their story, why they're with that person. You don't know what they've been through, what those two have been through that allows them to be with that person. You have to accept them for who they are and what they want to be with. That doesn't denote, they could be the most conscious, you know, whatever you want to call it, blackface or whatever, but they may have a story with that person that allows them to be with that person for their own story, and that is valid. So this notion, and I'm gonna say I'm old school, so this notion, and there's many variables of what constitutes family. So this idea that, you know, this you know, patriarchal, male, female is the notion of what constitutes family, nonsense again. We've moved beyond that. And I was hoping we'd come to here to have a conversation, to have a different conversation beyond that. So I don't want us to get me, personally, I don't want us to keep on with this discussion.
Okay, this is really short, but I feel like this really needs to be said because ultimately we're talking a lot about external stuff, and I think what we can bring it back to is the idea of consciousness. Because when I think about consciousness, I think about awareness. So that can be on a spiritual level or a race level. And we're talking about external relationships, and I don't think it's one or the other. So we're talking about if you're with a white person, then you can't be conscious. I will say if you subscribe to a white supremacist model, you can't be conscious. So that might express itself as you finding love. You should be able to love someone who looks like you. How that translates is going to be different for different people, but it has to start on that internal journey of being able to accept yourself and being able to accept and look at with love other people. And so I think sometimes when we get caught in this idea of, oh, like trying to shame people because you want to be with someone who looks like you, or you're racist, etc., it's a diversion from the point. It's not exclusionary. So if you're like, whether you're queer or you're straight, the fact of the matter is, if you can look at somebody else who has been through this horrific, fucking centuries-long journey of being oppressed, being made to feel like you're worthless, and be able to see the beauty in that person, whatever you then do next is going to be the right thing. That's what I'm saying.
Hi, there we go. Sorry, for me, when I think about Black Love, and I've been really like taking in what everyone's points are, I don't really agree with some of the points I've heard. I think they're actually quite harmful. But I think for me, it's about getting comfortable in your uncomfortableness. And when I think about what Black Love means to me as a Black woman, a single parent who's been through the journey of the trauma of having a Black man put his hands on me, been through the journey of having the father, reject me. You know, for me, it's about being able to, I guess, put, like, you know, you said, been able to separate the two and recognise, you know, for me, all of the different flaws I thought I had, actually these are what the flaws which society placed upon me, because I know who I am, you know, and I'm very grounded in who I am as a Black woman. But I think there's this thing, you know, where Black men, I love my Black man, and I stand strong always trying to support them and hold them up. I feel like that's what I have to do. Or we hear this whole thing about Black girls magic, which annoys me. I don't necessarily know how comfortable I feel about Black girls magic, because I think we can, it's like using the N-word and now we're turning it around and making it, you know, our own in whatever way we choose to, you know, I guess when I think about Black girls magic, I think we don't always have a choice. I think it's something we've always had to be strong.